Yes, guys, welcome back to the Talking Sense podcast, episode 4. And today we're going to cover a topic that's quite close to mine and Dan's hearts. We're pretty passionate about this, and we're massively of the same opinion. We want to title this one "Eat Good, Feel Good, Do Good." And today, the basis of our discussion is going to be about how making good quality nutrition choices is always going to be much better for you in terms of health, mentally and physically, as opposed to just focusing on calories alone and not considering the 1% things related to nutrition.
Yeah, I'm really passionate about this subject. Me and Brad have spoke about it a hell of a lot in the year, just over a year that we've lived together now. And I always have a little rant. I just consider food and nutrition to be people's medication when it comes to improving physically and mentally. And that's it really in a nutshell. And we're going to break it down a little bit more, but it's your medication. If I could put one thing out there from this podcast, we can make ourselves a lot better through what we eat.
So why is it important? Why is good quality nutrition important? And there's a few things that we'll bullet point now, and as we progress into the podcast a little bit more, obviously we'll expand on that and give our own personal opinions and experiences on this. But some of the main things that we want you to consider are that good quality nutrition will positively benefit one, your mental and physical performance. It's going to benefit your immune system by keeping that functioning efficiently and healthily and optimally. It's going to improve and maintain a healthy digestive system, improve and upkeep good gut health.
Yeah, gut health.
Internal functions, just by keeping your main organs healthy, like heart, liver, brain is a massive one.
All these internal organs, do massive things for you, and you've got to value these organs and things that are inside you, like you would value your eyes. You won't want to go partially blind through. Well, you can actually, I think, go partially blind through how you eat in a rare occasion, but value your internal functions like you would value something like your eyes and the use of your hands and the use of your legs, because they all have massive functions for us that are massively important. We need to take care of them.
I think there's a lot of things that people overlook. Sleep and recovery is another one, but one main thing that we want to try and get across in this podcast is that a calorie is not just a calorie. When people, or beginners, or the general population of people think about dieting and nutrition, I think there's an automatic relation to weight management, and that is it. I think health and overall well-being is overlooked.
It's secondary, isn't it?
Yeah, quite a lot.
Yeah.
By most people, and a lot of people just look at food as calories alone, and a tool that people use to manage their weight, whether it be weight loss or weight gain. But we wanted to make the point on why you need to be looking at nutrition as more than that. Ultimately, it is the thing that you need to be controlling in terms of managing your weight, but the amount of positive benefits that come from the quality of that nutrition by looking at it a lot more deeply in terms of the macronutrients in your food, the micronutrients in your food is going to be a massive thing in this. So the vitamins and the minerals that you're receiving from these foods, and how they're going to basically allow you to function properly, as opposed to just focusing on calories alone.
I think we view our bodies now far too aesthetically. So, we look at, how many calories do we need to put weight on and maintain weight, or which is the most popular, probably lose weight. And we look at that calorie number, and a lot of the time we might be taught, or we just take it upon ourselves to hit that calorie number, and that's the main concern. But what me and Brad always try and educate clients on, and just educate everybody on, because it's not just applicable to clients, is that most of them calories should come from good food sources and good sources of nutrition that not only help you achieving your goals, but also help your body function optimally. I think, like, I tend to speak to clients and say, try and make about 85% of your calorie intake, good, coming from good food sources. And then there might be that 15%, 20% where they're eating food sources that aren't brilliant. But I think if they're getting the balance that's a lot more beneficial for them in terms of that ratio, that like 80-20, then they're going to be all right.
I think talking on this ratio, like, it's something that I definitely implement with my clients. I do advise most of my clients to diet flexibly, and to enjoy food to some degree. Ultimately we are in an age or an era where food is there for enjoyment. Me and Dan aren't completely biased. We're not boring robots that just eat broccoli and chicken every day.
No.
We do like going out for food. We do, I do like a beer. We are massively of the opinion that if you are going against your true beliefs, if you don't enjoy food to some degree, then ultimately progress may be stalled. But we're talking in a general scope here, that if 80% of your nutrition is good quality, and you allow yourself 20% leeway to do the social occasions that you want to, to have that takeaway every now and again, or to eat a little bit more loosely with an occasional wine at the weekend, and these things are definitely okay to do. But long term, if you're able to create a lifestyle where the majority of the nutrition that you're taking in is of a higher quality, that your quality of life will also reflect the food that you've been eating in pretty much every area.
Everything's going to be better. I think if you looked at life in general as a percentage, if you were nailing life 80-85% of the time, you'd probably find that pretty much every area of your life would be in a positive place. And simply put, when we consider nutrition and the the things that good nutrition equals in terms of us, so for example, performance and how our body feels and how we function, then hitting that number consistently is you're just gonna be in a good place. You're not gonna. I just can't see, if you're eating that well, that consistently, I don't think you'd experience that many problems in terms of your health. And I think your bodily functioning and your performance, if it is athletic related, would always be good.
I just want to put something into perspective for you guys. There's a couple of statistics recently that we want to make a point of, and that 28% of the UK population are obese, and a further 36% of the UK population are overweight, which is totaling 64%, of people in this country.
It's unbelievable.
Are overweight to some degree.
Shocking.
Which is more than half.
It's 2 in 3, that, isn't it? Roughly.
2 in 3, roughly.
Yeah.
2 in 3.
Yeah.
2 in 3 people are overweight, and we want to relate the point that we're trying to make is it's not just the visual, like the amount of consequences that has on that person and on the country as a whole. It does have a knock-on effect for the rest of the economy, because another statistic I want to put out there is 875,663 hospital admissions relating to obesity in 2019. The amount of strain that's putting on you as a person, but then also the amount of strain that's putting on the NHS and stuff like that. is quite detrimental.
Yeah, so I heard there Brad touch on what you eat can be responsible for putting strain on yourself, and things like the NHS, and you've really got to look at what you're pulling from your food. What is your food giving you? And when when you look at your plate in the evening, what are them individual foods on that plate giving your body? Are they giving you adequate nutrition? Are they giving you vitamins, minerals, etc.? That's all going to be good for you. It's easy just to eat things without considering what's in them, just because we're maybe thinking about calories. And a couple of examples here, like post-workout, I see this all the time, but they say let's get some like fast-acting sugars in after training to replenish our glycogen stores that we've used, and you want some protein as well. But for example, you could have a couple of choices here. So we could go and get some midget gems that are high sugar, and it's what we want, it's what we're looking for. But we could also have a banana. And I think a lot of the time we make the midget gem choice because it's something we'd maybe prefer to eat. We might have even been educated to eat them type of foods after training, but you've got to look at what you're pulling from your food. That's my main point here. And if you had a banana, you would get natural sugars, fast-acting sugars, potassium, vitamins and minerals. If you had midget gems, you would get fast-acting sugars and just artificial food, and that's it. So that's the type of point I'm wanting to make, and you can relate that point to every time you have a plate of food. What am I pulling? What nutrition am I pulling from my plate? And am I picking quality sources over poorer ones? That leads me on to talking about, and I'll let Brad speak in a minute, but that leads me on to talking about how does the food that you're eating make you feel? And this is, I'm not talking about science here, and we don't have to get scientific with it, but how do you feel off what you're eating? Are you sleeping well? Are you bloated after what you've eaten? Have you got an upset stomach? Or do you just, do you feel shit and stressed, and are you sweating? Are you getting bad skin? Are you getting spots? Focus on how your food is making you feel, because if it's making you feel shit, and this is consistent, it might be because of what you're putting in your mouth. And through changing that, you might find that you start alleviating some of these symptoms of not feeling great.
I think I want to say something on that. I think the point that Dan is trying to make is that when considering what you're putting in your mouth, a lot of people, base their judgment on the emotional side of things. And what we want you to do is open your mind to the long-term emotional effect of that food. I think a lot of people, they eat a food because they want it and because they enjoy it. And in that specific moment, they might feel some sort of happiness from enjoying that food.
Yeah.
But that happiness and that emotional response to that food is very short-lived. As soon as that food has gone down and you've swallowed it, that enjoyment probably only lasts for a couple minutes. But the point that Dan's trying to make is in terms of how it makes you feel. We're talking physically here, like internally. How is it making you feel in your stomach area, all that kind of thing. Not short term, just considering, how happy it makes you feel. We're talking like physically, how is it digesting? How is it sitting on your stomach? How is it affecting your skin? How is it affecting your sleep? How is it affecting your recovery? Because these things can have a long-term damaging effect. And I think that leads on to a point that Dan wants to make in regards to how it does, impact your brain and how it can massively affect your mental health.
Yeah, it's not just physical. It's not just physical, and you've got to look at what the foods doing for you. And we've talked there about a lot of physical benefits, and I know we've touched on mental benefits, and Brad talked about the obesity crisis, which it is. But switching to something again that's passionate for me, mental health One one in 4 people will experience a mental health problem a year, and a big point on that fact is that that's the people that come forward. So that's the people that the NHS know come forward and actively report that they've got a mental health problem. How many people that have a mental health problem will not want to disclose it and talk about it? I would imagine if they did come forward, we could definitely go up to 2 in 4 people there.
I'd definitely say that it'd go from a quarter to half
Um,
the amount of people.
And what we eat and what we put in our mouths can massively impact on not just our physical, but our mental health. And Brad's going to really break down some stuff here now.
So
on that,
I would imagine everyone's heard of the hormone serotonin, and it's probably quite common knowledge that is the hormone that is largely responsible for controlling and stabilizing, your mood, your well-being, and your feelings of happiness. I don't think that's a particularly unknown thing, but what is probably unknown is that 90% of that hormone is actually produced in your GI tract, so in your intestines essentially. It's not produced in the brain. So 90% of that, 90% of the hormone that is responsible for your happiness is created down here. Now you've got to consider when your brain, when you're eating food, and obviously your body's processing that, and it is going through your body, getting prepared to, be getting shot of. That if that food is bad quality, that has to pass through that intestinal tract where this hormone is being created. Now, I don't think it takes a rocket scientist to understand that if them nutrition sources are bad, that will have a negative impact on your thought processes, your overall mood, and your overall ability to be able to think logically and make good decisions.
If you're damaging, if through what you're eating you're damaging yourself internally. So say through what you're eating, you are damaging your digestive system, and it's not. If we eat better, we're going to digest things better. Our body accepts things better. If our diet's poor, it might be the opposite of that. And if, like Brad said there, something like serotonin, if 90% of that is produced in that area, and we're not taking care of that area, and it's not maybe optimal or functioning properly, then are we getting the benefits that the production of like the serotonin and things gives us in full force? Probably not. And I've educated myself more on this through what I'm doing at university, but serotonin is something we refer to as a neurotransmitter. But I'm not going to go into all that because there's no need to. But what I will say is that people that are struggling with mental health problems are given antidepressants, they're given pills, and some of these pills, their responsibility is to help promote the release of serotonin and get more of these neurotransmitters going in the body, or opposite to that, well, not opposite to that, but the amount of serotonin we do have in our system, these pills try and sustain it and keep it there, or keep it at that level. So they either try and keep a level that's good, or they try and lift the level. They try and increase the amount of serotonin in the body through pills. And the point I want to make is we can start doing this and producing these good feel good type neurotransmitters through what we eat. And of course, I'm not knocking. I understand that mental health is a massive crisis, and we don't have enough people in this country. We don't have enough professionals to deal with the amount of people that are sick. But maybe we can start helping them and alleviating the pressures of them having to just give us pills because they don't have time to give us the proper service in ways, but by eating better.
I think there is a serious, should we use the word drought, of just general education on this topic. I don't think, I think a lot of people, listening to this probably don't know these things, and I don't think it's their fault necessarily, but, we obviously feel that it's our job to put these things out there. and hopefully help you understand that you can self-medicate from the food that you're eating. The body is a completely complex thing, and it functions best when everything is working in unison, down from your gut to your brain. When you have higher levels of serotonin in your body and stuff like that, it's going to enable your brain and your central nervous system to communicate properly, and which is always going to promote,
Better mood.
general positivity overall. It's going to help you with better quality sleep. It's going to help you, with better quality digestion. General overall, organ function. All these things are going to be better, improved just through the simplicity of considering your food as the fuel, for essentially a good life.
Yeah, I think that's the main takeaway point of this podcast. And me and Brad, I think we're both very keen to get out there that, yeah, we are coaches, and we try and improve people's physical and well-being. We try and help people reach their goals, a lot of the time physically. And part of our jobs is working out people's calories and BMR and advising. But we want to advise everybody that just make it an important thing in your life to start making them good choices between them good choices, of what you're putting into your body. If you've got 2 or 3 choices of what to eat for breakfast and dinner and tea and what you're going to have on your plate, just try and make the choice that is giving you the most benefit. And I'm not saying that has to be all the time, just most of the time.
Definitely. I think, like Dan says, it is our job to get people in the best shape possible physically, and whether it's unfortunately or fortunately, most people who do come to personal trainers or coaches are looking for a solution to a weight problem.
Yeah,
whether it's weight loss or weight gain or whatever it might be. So obviously, we have spoken quite extensively on the mental side of things, but we will wrap this podcast up by speaking about the visual and the composition benefits of considering your nutrition. And I think the most obvious link that we can make now, after speaking on serotonin and stuff like that, when it comes to your physical performance and achieving an overall physical and more better pleasing or aesthetically pleasing physique, that the nutrition that you eat will directly affect your mood, which will increase your ability to apply yourself to every situation when it comes to your journey. Whether it is weight loss or whether it is muscle gain, if you're in a better mood in general, your motivation to apply yourself to every situation, to every set, to every rep, to every session, to tracking your food, if you're in a positive mind frame, your ability to be able to do that over a long period of time and to a high standard is obviously going to be a lot higher than if you are making poor nutrition choices, which will then obviously bring down your motivation levels, general mood, which it's generally your intensity and pretty much everything that you're applying will be a lot.
Yeah, I was just about to say then, like Brad talking about their mood and application, and through being in a better place through what you've eaten, that might help you feel less fatigued and less tired. You've got more energy, you feel better. Then you can go and apply those things to put in more effort and intensity into what you're doing, whether that's your studying, whether that's your training, whether that's your job, whether that's your family, your friends, your relationships. There's just before I let you wrap up, there's a lot of, we talk a lot as coaches obviously about reaching gym-based goals and things like that, but when you're looking at something like this and eating for health and eating for feeling better and the benefits it gives you, you can link the benefits of what eating good gives you to improving a lot of aspects of your life. And it might be that you're in a better mood, so it improves your relationships and your friendships. You might work better, yes, you might train better, but what I'm trying to say, it's not just about the gym. Every area of your life, if you're in a better mood and you are feeding yourself to just, I don't know, not really be a better person, but function better. And I suppose, maybe I'm touching on be happier. If you're a happier person and positive is maybe the word I'm looking for. I think you're going to likely go and do things regular that are more positive. And it's like a domino effect, when you're doing positive things, more positivity comes. And I think you can kind of link that to what your diet's like. You get what I'm trying to say.
Yeah,
in a way.
In terms of performance in the gym, taking this back away from the mental side of things, and going back to the point of a calorie not just being a calorie. Dan, his alarm clock.
Jesus.
Now, linking that back to the point of a calorie not just being a calorie, you can look deeper into these things, and calories are broken down into macro and micronutrients. These are your proteins, your carbohydrates, and your fat sources, your minerals, and your vitamins. Now, your body will function at a better rate while considering these, and everybody should be looking to create and have and sustain a healthy balance of them all, because they all do different jobs within the body. Now, the more regularly that you eat a healthy balance of these macronutrients, the more readily, the better your body will become at processing these. So you might not have heard of anything of something called nutrient partitioning, but essentially what that is your body's ability to be able to shuttle the food to the places that it wants to. So, for example, proteins being, the foundation of muscle growth and repair, carbohydrates being the primary fuel source for the body, and then the fats, allowing you to maintain good organ function, but then also being the secondary source of fuel for the body. Now, if you over or under eat in these areas, it will have a negative effect on certain areas. Now, one thing that I do want to make clear is that your body can only handle a certain amount of protein and carbohydrates, whereas there is an unlimited capacity of fat cells readily available in the body. So if you overconsume in calories for what you are actually expending, whether it's through training or whether you do have a sedentary job, if you are overeating, your body will store that energy as fat. Now, if you are, like I say, if you are overeating on carbohydrates or proteins or fats, it's all going to be stored as fat. So you need to be considering, what foods you are eating, what's within them foods, and when is the best time to be eating them foods. One thing that I'm a big promoter of is, pre and post workout nutrition.
Yeah.
We touched on it earlier before about simple carbohydrates, so sugary carbohydrates in the form of, for example, jam or cereals, things that are quickly digested by the body. They will be better suited to the pre and post workout window, because as you break down muscle tissue and your glycogen stores are depleted, these will provide your body with a quick burst of energy that will be processed very quickly and will allow your body to, essentially restore what it has burned off through that workout. Now, if you were to do that and consume a high sugary meal in the morning, for example, a big bowl of Cocoa Pops and maybe a bagel with jam, that is going to go through your body relatively quickly. And if you're not then burning that off and you're sitting down at work for 8 hours a day, the chances of that being stored as body fat is a lot higher than if you'd have, centered it around your workouts. Now, without going into it too much, the point that we're essentially trying to make is, you need to have a healthy, balanced diet in terms of all of the macronutrients, all of the micronutrients, because it will allow you to perform better, it will allow you to feel better, and it will allow you to live a better life in general.
Yes, certain foods, like Brad said there, certain foods are going to be more valuable to eat at certain times, and it's a big point saying that, like Brad said there, protein is there mainly for repair of our body's tissues and muscle recovery and things. But if you're having excess fat, then obviously that's going to be stored as fat. But if then carbohydrates are excess and they go past that point of what our body is capable of storing. So if we overeat on carbohydrates, and our stores are full, if our muscle stores are full, our body doesn't need any more carbohydrates to fill its energy stores, then them excess carbohydrates are going to go away and also be stored as fat. So yeah, you've got to be careful there.
So we've talked about how over-consuming on your macronutrients and your calories can lead to weight gain, but we want to make it known that under-eating on your macronutrients and your calories can also just be as detrimental as over-consuming on them. So using protein as an example, if you were to over-consume on that, it would lead to excess fat storage. Now on the flip side, when it comes to under-consuming on protein, it would be important to remember that protein is actually the third source of fuel for the body. If you are under-eating in general on carbohydrates and fats, your body will utilize protein as its energy source. And if you are under on there, that will lead to something called going into a catabolic state, in which your muscles would then essentially degrade and reduce in size. Under-eating on carbohydrates will negatively affect your brain function. Your body requires a certain amount of carbohydrates to be able to function optimally. I'm not sure if you might be listening to this or watching this YouTube video, and if you have prepped or done a bodybuilding competition or got to a very low level of body fat to the point where your carbohydrates and your calories are really low, your ability to think and make good judgment and how it affects your mood, it's quite severe. Until you've done that, I don't think you really fully understand how negative under eating can actually be.
Yeah, it's a good example using when a bodybuilder is dieting and they're in them final weeks and the body fat's low or whatever. It's just a good example of showing when you are underfeeding yourself on your nutrients, so your protein, your carbs, and your fats. It can have detrimental effects on your body and how you perform and just how you function, because protein, carbohydrates, and fats, all of them separately, have some role to play within bodily functions. So if we're not getting an adequate amount of them in as well, it can be bad for us as well as obviously an excess. Excess can be.
Like Dan says, if you aren't tracking your macronutrients and you do have like dips and troughs in your macros, and one day you eat massively high fat and one day you eat massively low protein and massively high carbohydrates and then massively low protein or whatever, I don't think most people would be able to acknowledge or understand the benefits that that's actually having. But it's going to link it back into pretty much everything that we've covered in this podcast, to the effects that will have on your mental state, on your ability to perform, your ability for your body to regulate itself. They will have a massive impact on everything in general.
There's a lot to be said for the very common term that is eat a healthy, balanced diet. Funnily enough, we are in an obesity crisis, but we have the most knowledge. We have the most science and we have the most knowledge, and we are the most obese. So our decisions and our eating behaviours and habits are clearly poor, even though we now have the knowledge of what we should be eating. So yeah, I mean, we could talk about this topic for hours, couldn't we?
We talk about it for weeks.
For weeks
and days
and months, but unfortunately, well, maybe fortunately for you guys,
it keeps us in a job as well.
For you guys, we need to bring it to an end.
We do. So all in all, guys, to wrap this up, the point that we're trying to get across to you here is that nutrition is a lot deeper than just calories. We're obviously in a situation where a lot of people are looking at calories and calories alone and unintentionally neglecting their health by focusing on the visual side of things a lot. And we wanted to get the point across of how beneficial it really is for you to be leading a healthy lifestyle, and how it can positively benefit every single aspect of your life.
It's looking out for your body inside out, isn't it? Look at it internal to external benefits.
We'll link that to the feel good, eat good, feel good, do good.
Yeah. Title.
If you can just literally think of that title and sum this whole podcast up, that is essentially the point that we're trying to make. You are what you eat, and you will feel what you eat eventually. Hopefully you're taking something away from this podcast. As always, we appreciate you tuning in, listening to what we have to say, watching our ugly faces on YouTube. If you could continue to do that over the next few weeks, we would appreciate it. Let us know if you have taken anything away. Drop us a like, a comment, subscribe to the YouTube channel, save our podcasts on whatever platform it is that you are listening on, whether it's Spotify or iTunes. But we appreciate your support as always, and we will bring you episode 5 next week.
Yeah. Thank you very much, guys, and please, just please share it about if you can.
Nice one, guys. Catch you later.